This was treason. This was high crimes. This was everything as bad a definition as you want to come up with. This should never be allowed to happen to our country again.
President Trump and Sean Hannity exclusively last night referring to the probe. You just heard it right there. A headliner now, Hogan Gidley, White House Deputy Press Secretary from the North Lawn. Hogan, welcome back and good morning to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Nancy Pelosi told a producer from Tucker Carlson's team, "I wonder what Putin has politically, financially, or personally on Donald Trump." What do you think of that?
Well, look, Congress's popularity sits somewhere between smallpox and the plague, and comments like that expose exactly why. They waste America's time on nonsense constantly. You saw that over the last 100-plus days. They've actually had control of the House. She has no proof. She lied about proof of collusion. There was none. She lied about proof of some type of cover-up. There was none. I mean, it's completely ridiculous, the fantasy world these Democrats live in. And so for us here at the White House, we want to get things done for the American people. And quite frankly, it's tough when Democrats like that are so entrenched on lies. They refuse to accept the results of all of this investigation. In fact, they didn't get what they wanted from the Mueller report. They didn't get what they wanted from the Mueller press conference. They didn't get what they wanted just a couple of days ago from the Mueller testimony, because what they want is proof that this president somehow colluded with a foreign power.
But Jerry,
they're never going to get that because it's not there.
I apologize for interrupting. Jerry Nadler's making that point. Today was a watershed day in telling the facts to the American people.
Yeah, I don't think he understands the definition of the word watershed. What the watershed moment was is once and for all, the American people now get to see that the Democrats have nothing except a radical agenda of investigations, infanticide, a Green New Deal, open borders, supporting their own members who are clearly anti-Semitic and continue to make anti-Semitic comments. And I don't think that's where the American people want the Congress to be. They want them to work with us. We're trying to get so much done for the American people on infrastructure, on drug prices, on immigration. And instead of doing something at the southern border, Democrats are about to go on a 6-week vacation. That means more lives lost, not just from American citizens, but from those coming across our southern border trying to get here because the laws are such that it incentivizes that dangerous trek, what it does to women and to children and, quite frankly, to men. Democrats don't want to do a thing about it. We've got to get something going here. And with the leadership entrenched into where they are, saying they have all this evidence, either put up or shut up. It's time to move on.
Well, when you're talking about moving on, is it possible to move on if the president just told Sean Hannity again last night it's time to investigate the investigators? How exactly is that moving on?
Well, look, I think the American people want to know just what they witnessed for the last 2 years. Listen, I mean, they lied about all this evidence, and there was no proof of it. And so now the question then becomes, could this happen to any American citizen? I think most people out there say, I wouldn't want it to happen to me, to spy on a campaign, to wiretap people. I mean, 2,500 subpoenas, 500 witnesses, 500 warrants, 19 attorneys, 40 FBI agents. I mean, at some point, you have to figure out, what did we spend all this $30 million on? And the answer is nothing. And so I think the American people deserve to know just how this got started and why significant questions weren't asked of Hillary Clinton and her cohorts, whether it be Christopher Steele or the folks who set up the dossier. That's important information, and people have a right to know.
We are, regardless of the situation there, House Democrats have suggested as of yesterday they will continue. You got subpoenas for Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner for personal emails and texts. I don't know what you have to say about that. And now you've got this meeting that took place with Speaker Pelosi, and as the president likes to refer to her, AOC +3. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez met with Speaker Pelosi. We'll see in a few moments the gist of that conversation. Well, what is your sense as you come into a campaign season where the president has clearly tried to isolate these 4 freshman women in the House?
Well, I don't think the president has to isolate them. They're the ones who actually speak on behalf of the Democrat Party. I mean, listen, just last week, Nancy Pelosi had a anti-BDS piece of legislation. Ilhan Omar had a pro-BDS piece of legislation. So they are clearly not on the same page, but the ones that get all of the publicity and the ones that are driving the message and, quite frankly, the political platform of the Democrat Party, is the squad. They're the ones who want to move forward with their radical agenda. Nancy Pelosi doesn't seem like she's in control. There's no doubt that these four members are taking over Washington, D.C. They're on the cover of magazines and on the front pages of papers. And so it seems like the left has some explaining to do, and there is no reporter out there who will ask Nancy Pelosi to disavow or to support some of the anti-Semitic comments coming from the squad. It's quite breathtaking.
I have another question on election security, because yesterday we saw Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell block 2 bills to help fund and move forward in election security. There was a response by Senator Schumer, the minority leader here. We can have it. We can put it up here. Unfortunately, Leader McConnell, as he showed the American people again today when he blocked common sense House-passed legislation, is standing in the way of progress when it comes to securing our elections and safeguarding our democracy. Election security is a national security issue of paramount importance, and the Republican leader's intransigence is both untenable and sends exactly the wrong signal to foreign adversaries who seek to undermine our elections. My question is this politics? Because that's what Senator McConnell said. But if you step back away from both of them and you're an American voter and you're worried about election security, isn't this something that Americans would want?
Absolutely, and they're getting it from this administration. I just think the Democrats should be embarrassed at this point, and sooner or later, they're going to have to learn to stop grandstanding over politics, because it continues to backfire directly onto them, and this is a perfect instance. They learned about Russian meddling in 2015, when Barack Obama and Joe Biden were in control, and they did nothing about it. So it's ridiculous for them to come out and say how great they are on this topic. This president came in, thankfully, and it's now been proven by every metric that the Russian meddling had no effect on the outcome of the election, thankfully. But this president came in and said, we're going to do a whole-of-government approach, and for the first time in history, we're going to get the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, to work with state and local officials. We're running tests right now to make sure all the elections can handle any type.
On that last point, when do we hear the plan? And when does it come prior to the election of 2020?
Well, look, senators got a classified briefing here at the White House a couple of weeks ago, and the consensus from both parties was not only do we know what we're doing, but we're prepared and ready to move forward so that the integrity of our elections are, in fact, protected. So for them to come out now and pretend as though we're not doing anything is ridiculous, especially when you consider they are the party that knew what was happening and did nothing about it. That's squarely on the shoulders of Barack Obama and Joe Biden.
Our latest poll shows Joe Biden with a commanding lead over his Democratic competitors. Just in a final word, what is your sense of where that primary race is going?
Obviously, I can't talk about elections. What I can tell you is I like President Trump's chances against any single Democrat at this point. Their agenda is so radical, and this president's pro-American, and they're not.
Hogan Gidley, thank you for your time, sir, from the North Lawn.